While we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the Indigenous people of all the lands that we are on today and which we each call home. I'd like to acknowledge that I am joining from Dockumcook, otherwise known as Newfoundland. Just a bit of housekeeping. There is a space here for everyone to have a voice. We encourage you to be active in the chat throughout the session. This is a journey and we are all at different places. We all have lived experiences and add value to the discussion. Respect is the foundation, even if we do have different beliefs or values, and the language is constantly changing, so we do our best to keep it up. We will be having a Q&A period at the end of the speakers' sections. If you do have questions, you can use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, or if you prefer, you can use the chat for your question, but do please type question in all capital letters so we can see it at the beginning of your message. And now to kick off, we will just do a quick overview of WRDC. So Women in Resource Development Corporation is a provincial nonprofit organization committed to increasing women's participation in technology and skilled trades. For 25 years, we have been changing the culture of work in these industries and sectors that have historically been inaccessible and unwelcoming for women. We do have an inclusive definition of what it means to be a woman. So women refers to anyone who identifies as a woman and explicitly includes not only cis women, but also trans women, anyone who identifies as non-binary, non-conforming, and or gender fluid, and anyone irrespective of assigned gender at birth, gender identity, and gender expression, who has experienced or is subject to experiencing discrimination based on identifying as a woman and or being identified by others as a woman. At WRDC, we have a number of programs and services. We are leading the way to gender equality in technology and the skilled trades. In order to address the challenges surrounding the attraction, recruitment, retention, and advancement of women in these careers. Our key activities include career exploration programs, education and outreach. These are the STEM for Girls programs that engage and empower girls and gender diverse youth with hands-on STEM activities, connections to role models, and the knowledge and confidence required to make informed career choices. We also provide career development and employment assistance services. Our certified career practitioners are located throughout the province. They provide one-on-one career services and oversee the delivery of programs like Orientation to Trades and Technology, In Motion and Momentum Plus, and our new Digital Skills Foundation programs. To ensure workplaces are welcoming and supportive, we also offer diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI consultation services and training for workplaces. WRDC acts as a DEI incubator. Our services support employers as they start or continue their journey to create a more diverse and inclusive work environment. And we conduct research, collaborate with partners and key stakeholders to identify solutions to issues commonly identified by women in trades and tech. You can visit WRDC.ca and STEMforgirls.ca for more information on our programs, services, and supports. So today we're going to hear from 3 industry leaders and women thriving in the transportation sector, gain valuable insights into career opportunities, and explore tailored pathways for post-secondary training in the transportation sector. The sector offers a wide range of opportunities. Each of these roles on your screen now are in demand in our province today within the transportation sector. With technological advancements, evolving environmental policies, and changing consumer demands, it's an exciting time to explore a career in the transportation fields. And with that, I'm going to call upon Stephanie Shrum, a program manager at Canadian Apprentice Forum, to tell us more about the sector.
Thank you so much, Trina. So I'm just going to share my screen here in a second, but first I just want to say thank you for asking me to join today and for being here and joining us. And I'm super excited to talk a little bit about careers in transportation because they're so cool and there's so many of them. But just first I'll tell you a tiny bit. I'm going to share my screen now about what it is that we do at the Canadian Apprenticeship Forum so that you kind of know where we're coming from and what kind of background that we have. Trina, do you mind just thumbs up? Are you seeing the screen that says apprenticeship and careers? Awesome, thank you. Okay, so what we do at CAF, we are a national not-for-profit organization. We are a membership-based organization. So many of our all of our members are in some way related to the skilled trades. So they could be educational institutions, they could be training facilities, they could be jurisdictional authorities or employers or associations or unions or apprentices and journey people. And we not only promote apprenticeship and the value of careers within apprenticeship and how incredible the skilled trades can be, but we also provide information. We do a lot of research on behalf of various funders. One of our main funders is Employment and Social Development Canada, or ESDC, and we compile all that information and make it available to members so that as you're learning about labor market information and career trajectory and planning things like hiring practices, you've got a really good basis of information to make those plans from. We also do public facing programs. So we run a mentor development program for women in the trades, as well as a leadership program for women in the trades. Right now I'm working on a recruiting and retaining best practices program for women in the trades to help employers just kind of ensure that what they're doing is recruiting the people that they want, but also keeping the people that they've recruited. And we do a lot of connecting. So we have conferences that allow for people to get connected. We've got forums, we've got webinars, all kinds of things to allow for people in the skilled trades to find each other and to talk about what's going on. So at a high level, that's what we do. I'm going to talk today just about a few things. First of all, around what is apprenticeship. So for those of you joining us, if you're just learning about the trades or just kind of learning about various career opportunities in general, I'll tell you a little bit about apprenticeship. I'm going to tell you about some of the incredible benefits of apprenticeship. Then we'll go into the careers that are available in transportation and various paths that you might take within that field. And then we'll end with just a few resources that we have available for folks that are choosing to follow a career path in the trades. So let's start with what is apprenticeship. For those of you that are new to it, and I won't spend too much time here because I imagine a lot of you probably are familiar with it, but for those of you who are new, essentially you spend 2 to 4 years on the job working with an employer while you're learning a trade. There are periods of time where you go to technical training at a college or training facility. And by the time you're done that apprenticeship, you'll meet a bunch of different competency levels and you'll get a certificate that says you are now capable of practicing that particular trade within your province. What's really, really great about apprenticeship, and we're going to talk about it again in a minute when we go through the benefits, but apprenticeship allows you to be working, to be hands-on in your field, to be learning with an employer, and also getting paid while you go through the process of of learning about your field. University and college doesn't work quite that way. I can tell you as a university grad, I certainly wasn't getting paid while I was going. So what's really cool about apprenticeship is it allows you to really be in your field the whole time while you learn. There is a technical training component. Typically that'll happen at a college, registered training facility, like a training delivery agent or a union perhaps. And then at the end, of course, you get a certification that says you are capable of doing this job and you've completed your apprenticeship, and there are a certain amount of competencies that can be expected that you're going to be skilled in. So all employers know what to expect from you when you get on the work site. when you're a journey person, because they know which competencies have been completed, and there's a level of comfort and confidence in that. So that's what's really, really great about apprenticeship. In order to pass that certification, you do need 70% or higher. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that there is an exam at the end of the apprenticeship, and you do need to get 70%, but you can take it multiple times. So let's just talk a little bit about the route towards apprenticeship. You can start with a pre-apprenticeship program. So many colleges will offer that. Alternatively, and the way that I would say most people tend to get into apprenticeship, is that you find an employer sponsor. So you find employers that are within your trade. Usually you'll work for them for a little bit as a laborer or in a different role that's not quite apprenticeship. And then once they see what you do, they'll generally register you as an apprentice. They'll track your hours. You'll meet a bunch of different competencies or skill sets that you need to have in order to complete your apprenticeship. And then you'll also go to the technical training levels. So many provinces will have you do a certain amount of hours, and then you'll go to your first level of technical training. Then you'll go back to work, and then you'll go for another period of time in technical training. Usually it's around 8 weeks that you're in training, and then you go back to work. So it is kind of a combination of being on the job and being in school. You can get EI during the time that you're in school. So there is a little bit of assistance there financially. And there are some programs that can help to offset the cost of tuition when you go to school as well. So it's a great program in that it allows you to really have a low cost opportunity to have a high value certificate, which is amazing. So once you're done tracking your technical, or sorry, once you're done your hours and your technical training, and you filled out everything you need to fill out in your logbook, you will then do a certification exam. And if you get 70% and all goes well, you will be a journey person in your field, which means you're able to practice without having a journey person looking over you or a mentor. There's also a trade route qualifier. So for people who have very significant experience in their trade, they may not have to do all of the technical training levels. There's some opportunities there to skip some of the steps and move a little bit faster. So there are some ways that you can do that. You'll need to do your assessment. Each province has its own assessment that it does. You will need to still write the qualifying exam, and then there's a certification exam at the end. So those are just the routes on our website, on CAF's website, and also on your jurisdictional authority's website. So in Newfoundland, I think yours is NSAA, if I'm not mistaken. We'll walk you through the steps that you need to take in order to register and become an apprentice. This is just a really high level view of that. But again, I'm always available to answer questions if you have any, or WRDC can answer questions about how do I get into the trades and what does that look like. Now I'm going to tell you about some of the benefits.
Apprenticeship.
Sorry, I thought I'd taken the video out. I'm going to skip past that. So some of the really awesome benefits about apprenticeship are that you earn while you learn. So unlike university and college, and there's nothing wrong with university and college, they're great if that's the direction you want to go in. But as an alternative or another really exciting and important way to get into an occupation that might be really amazing for you is apprenticeship. And what's great about it is you can earn while you learn. So again, you're on the job site, you're getting through your skill sets with your employer while you're getting paid. You get paid generally more with each level you complete. So by the time you're done your 4 years of apprenticeship, you're making quite a bit more than you did when you were in your first year. And you graduate with very little debt. So just as a comparison, I was about $38,000 in debt when I graduated from university. You're certainly not going to be in that level of debt coming out of apprenticeship. So lots of benefits there. Some of the other benefits are the career advancement, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more when I get to the careers pages. But what's amazing about the trades is once you've completed your apprenticeship, there are so many directions you can go in with that qualification. I know lots of people who have done multiple apprenticeships and they have multiple certifications. So they've got all kinds of opportunity to grow. You can start a business. You can move into training opportunities. You can move into association opportunities. There's just so much that people can do. You can move into supervisor roles. You can move into team leader roles. There's just a lot of growth that I think sometimes people don't think about within the trades, or maybe they just don't know about. And so part of what we do at CAF is to say, here are all of the wonderful things that you can do within the trades, and here's why they're such an important part of our occupational landscape. The other thing too is that the trades aren't going anywhere, right? Houses are going to need to be built for all of time. We're going to have railways. We're going to have airlines. We're going to have marine transportation. We're going to have trucking. We're always, 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 always going to have those industries. And so it's an opportunity that we're just going to consistently have a need for. So there's a safety in that, right? There's a sustainability in that when you're thinking about retention and long-term employment. So some of the other opportunities that I just want to focus on a little bit more, I guess specifically today, are the roles that are available in transportation and some of the cool things that you can do within this field. So there's 4 industries within transportation that we kind of generally group them as. We've got air transportation, so air and aerospace, railway transportation, marine transportation, and ground transportation. So I'm gonna, for the purposes of today, kind of divide it into those 4 industries. Many of them cross over, and actually you're going to see a lot of the trades from manufacturing, specifically in construction, will transfer over into some of these industries as well. But just to generalize, I'm gonna do that. So this is a list of jobs in air transportation. So this is airlines and aerospace. It's certainly not the most comprehensive list. There are many more roles within air transportation than what I have here. This is just a smattering of a few of them that you can see kind of across the country. I highlighted the one that is a skilled trade where you need to complete an apprenticeship in order to work in that trade in most provinces, not all provinces. So there are a couple where you actually don't need to do an apprenticeship. But for the most part, to be an aircraft maintenance engineer, you do need to complete an apprenticeship. What I've done here is just in the bottom corner, I've put on a link to Elevate Aviation. So Elevate Aviation is an organization who focus on women in aviation and aerospace careers. And so if you were to go to their website, you can see a more comprehensive list of all of the roles that are available within aerospace and air transportation. And you can see they actually just created this documentary on women in air, and it's really, really cool. So if you get a chance, try to check out their documentary. It's neat. But they go through a bunch of profiles of women in aerospace and airlines and things like that, and the various opportunities that they've had, the different careers that they've had, and how cool it can be to be in that trade. One thing I will, put out there for you, because I want to be honest about it, is generally in a lot of the trades, women are fairly underrepresented. So just across the board, women represent about 5.8% of the people in the trades. If you take out things like hairstylist, baker, ECE, which are the more women dominated roles. But if you look at the rest of them across the board, it's about 5.8. I feel like the stat I heard for aircraft maintenance engineer was 2.7. So it is fairly low in that field for women. But what that gives you an opportunity for is to be in demand candidates when employers are looking to diversify. And they are looking to expand their candidate pool. They're looking for more people, and they're certainly looking for women. So this is a great opportunity to become a part of that experience, to become a part of making that growth and making that change. And I think we are going to hear from a woman in the air transportation coming up. So we'll have some great insight into what that feels like to be a part of that field. But just check it out. There's a lot of really awesome trades, and you can see they're all over the place, right? There's kind of hands-on trades. There's more office-oriented work within air transportation. And you can move around a little bit. Once you're in an airport, it's like a small city, right? There's all kinds of different opportunities for roles that are available that we often don't think of. So I would encourage you, check out Elevate Aviation. They've got a lot of really, really good information into what each of those jobs might look like, how much they pay, what you can expect in terms of tasks and roles and expectations. It's just a really comprehensive website. So next we'll look at jobs in rail transportation. Again, there's such a variety of opportunities that are available within this field. I again highlighted the ones that are a skilled trade where you do need to complete an apprenticeship, but you can see there's a ton of different opportunity for people to move around, for people to experience different opportunities and different occupations. Women in Rail is an organization who again focuses on increasing the number of women and providing supports for women who are within the rail industry. And so if you were to go on their website, you can see a bunch of different training supports as well that they do. So I would encourage you to check out that website and just become familiar with the vast array of opportunities that are available within this particular industry. Marine transportation has a ton of diversity, a lot of diversity in marine transportation as well. So again, I've highlighted the ones that are an apprenticeable trade. You'll see chef on there. A lot of people don't equate marine occupations with chef, but a lot of the ships that, you know, are out at sea for several days, somebody's got to do the cooking. So there's lots of great options here within marine transportation. You can see this is just a few of them. There's certainly more. Imagine Marine is a really cool website that walks you through what you can expect from each of the trades. It does a bit of a profile. Sorry, I keep saying trades, I mean occupations. It walks you through each of the occupations and what you can expect from them. And then it also does have, they have a job board now that's new. So if you are looking at marine transportation jobs, they've got a job board now, which I think is really exciting. So if you were to click on that link, you can see all kinds of different opportunities within marine. And one thing I should mention as well that I haven't put on here, but that is true of most of the transportation industries, is that they also need welders and electricians and HVAC specialists and some of the trades that kind of transfer over from manufacturing millwrights, because somebody's building the trains, right? Someone's building the airplanes, somebody's building the trucks. So those trades are also going to be present within each of these industries as well. And there is some crossover there. So if you're thinking about, I want to be in marine transportation, but I really want to be a welder, don't worry, there's some opportunities there for you too. And then ground transportation, otherwise known as trucking, but it does include things like busing and subway, TTCs, shuttles, all of those things are all kind of included within ground transportation. Again, I did highlight the apprenticeable trades that we see within ground transportation. And actually, sorry, I'm just going to go back to railway. I was meeting with a company this morning who's currently looking for millwrights and welders because they are working on expanding the GO trains, and they've got a big project to expand GO trains. So they're looking for a ton of people right now. So lots and lots of organizations are looking for folks right now because these jobs are kind of ever expanding. Ground transportation, according to Transportation Canada, is one of the faster growing industries within transportation, ground transportation and logistics, because we need truckers, truck drivers, and all of the people who go along with the trucking industry kind of now more than we have in a while. So that industry is expanding currently pretty rapidly. So let's talk about, how do I find an employer? The Canada Job Bank is a great resource for finding employers. But also one of the partners that we work with very closely is apprenticesearch.com, and you can go on their website and it connects you to employers in your field. So if you register as an apprentice, it actually will connect you with employers that are within the trade you're looking for and within the region where you live. So it's a really easy resource because it's online. There are job developers on the back end, so there are real people that are in there and helping people get matched with each other. But again, I also mentioned some links on there where you can access the very specific trades and industries that you're looking for, or occupations that you're looking for within transportation. But this is a partner that we work with pretty closely a lot of the time, and they have just a pretty significant database of employers within the skilled trades. Another area that I'd encourage you to look at our website, is careers in trades. If you want to learn more about the various careers that are in the trades, what they look like, what the requirements look like, Careers in Trades is a wonderful website. It's got a ton of information on there. There's also a Red Seal Trades website that's a really good one too. If you want to have a trade that you can use across Canada, that's a Red Seal. So that's something to check out as well. just to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the field. This is what it looks like. You can also see various profiles of people. So if you want to hear from folks who do that job, we've got a number of different profiles on there. And then I'm gonna wrap it up there because I think I'm running out of time. But if you would like to connect with us, we're on social media, we're kind of everywhere. This is our website. You can connect with me directly if you want any of the links that I showed today, but I know this recording is going to be provided to you afterwards, so you can see some of the information in the recording as well. Again, if you've got any questions at the end, I'll be here along with everybody else, and I'm happy to answer some of your questions about careers in transportation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was an amazing overview, and a great way to kick us off here before our next two speakers. If anyone is just joining us, like Stephanie just said, this is being recorded and will be shared on the WRDC YouTube page once it processes and whatnot. And again, if you are just joining, then we will have a Q&A at the end, so you can pop your questions into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, or into the chat, but we ask that you kind of put question in large capital letters if you're using the chat rather than the Q&A function. And with that, our next speaker is Melissa Barton. She is an instructor at CNA teaching aircraft maintenance engineering technician program. So take it away, Melissa.
Hi. So my name is Melissa Barton. I teach at the College of the North Atlantic in Gander. It's called the Aircraft Maintenance Engineering Technician Program. We also offer a aircraft structural repair program. The Aircraft Maintenance Engineering Technician Program is 2 years, and the structural is only a year. I myself teach avionics, so that's kind of like the electrical part of airplanes. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. So the radios, the navigation, instruments, all that type of stuff. I do have a little slideshow I'm going to share with you, so I'll just kind of chime in on that and hopefully tell you a little bit about myself, how I got here, and if you're into aviation at all, different routes and how you can take that. Okay, so I graduated from the program in 2010. It's like I said, it's a 2-year program. We actually have a combined program, so it is either you can get 2 separate licenses, so it's maintenance or avionics. We train equally in both, and then it just kind of depends on either what you kind of go towards, what you like better, or what you get a job in first. So I happen to get a job in avionics first. So I have what is called an E license. So unlike most trades where you go back and you do blocks, so you go to school for a little bit and then you come back and you do a block for your apprenticeship and then you go back to work and then you go back to school. We do 2-year schooling. So it works out to be, I think, 21 months of schooling. Your summer's off, so your typical September to June. And then you work for roughly 2 years, and then you write your license. So you write your license under Transport Canada, which is like the umbrella of all these transportation, the marine, the trains, the autos, aviation. And then once you write your license, you're now a licensed engineer. So on that little slide there, I'm an E license because I'm avionics. There's also an M license for maintenance and an S license for structures. Once I have my license, I'm then good. I don't ever go back to do any blocks. Any other type of training that I do would be specific training, say on an airplane. So specific training for that specific aircraft or safety training or the generalized training, but I don't ever actually physically have to go back to school to do anything to get my license, which is really nice. Some schools are different. I know now they're kind of doing like a bit of a hybrid. So sometimes you can do a bit of an online training. But for trades, which you're in trades generally because you like to work hands-on, not because you want to sit at a desk, the hybrid doesn't exactly work the best for those type of people. Online training is not for everybody, especially if you're the type of person who likes to work with their hands and you like to learn, I guess, in person more and see that type of stuff. PTAC committee member, that's just its provincial trades advisory committee. Because we're not like a Red Seal program and because we don't do blocks, there's always talks of it going that way. It hasn't yet. Because this kind of works for us, the 2 years in school, and then you work towards your getting your license. I'm involved with Scouts Canada and I have 2 little boys. So this is actually in school. This is my little family. My spouse is also an aircraft maintenance engineer. So he lives in Gaynor as well. He works on the water bombers and I work here teaching it. So it worked out pretty good. So the reason I started, like it's been mentioned a few times, there's not a whole lot of females in aviation. Generally females in aviation, you consider them to be either ticket agent or flight attendant. Okay, so that's what I kind of wanted to do was be a flight attendant. I thought that was really cool. I could travel. I didn't know anyone at the time who was a flight attendant, but I, growing up in Gaynor, I was used to being around airplanes and knew that airplanes had flight attendants. But as I got older, and by older, like 17, I just figured that maybe that was not really one to do. I don't like vomit and I don't like that type of stuff. So I was like, nope, I don't want to be responsible for cleaning up. And as again, went through high school and stuff, I realized that I liked working with my hands. I liked when my parents would buy new furniture. I liked putting together the coffee table. I liked doing that stuff much rather, or I would rather do that stuff than sit down and do my English homework or biology. And that's the type of thing that I did well with. To be in, so the 70% came up as well. You do need 70%. That is a pass. 50 is not a pass in our program. It's all multiple choice, which is really nice. So we actually do block training here. So you would do like 2 weeks propellers, you do an exam, 2 weeks engines, 2 weeks radios, and 2 weeks helicopters. And it continues like that. So there's no midterms, no finals, which is really nice if you're not that type of person. If you're the type of person who likes to be kind of busy and you can focus on one thing and then get it done and then continue on. And then it all kind of, obviously it flows together. If you feel like you're interested in aviation, it's not the easiest thing to find someone. In Gaynor, again, it's a little bit different. We have a small airport. We have NAV Canada. It's a smaller town, so it's easier to kind of know. We teach it here. There's air cadets. There's things where it's just a little bit more easier to get familiar with. But if you're not in an area that is aviation privy, I guess is the word, reach out as best as you can reach out. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to anybody. That Elevate Aviation that was brought up, that's something I'm involved in as well. So every year they do a cross-country tour and there's different, what you want to call it, different presentations that happen throughout the year. We bring you up to different companies, so up to NAV Canada, up to Search and Rescue, up to, I think, Cougar Helicopters, up to PAL. So it helps you it's a free day where you can come up, you learn, there's speakers, there's pilots and ATC controllers, maintenance personnel. And it just kind of gets a feeling for what it's like to be around it, because most times the only reason you're in an airplane is as a passenger. And when you're sitting on an airplane, that's totally different than working on an airplane and going into the hangar and just having that familiarity with being around it. So that's something that if you're interested in aviation, definitely try and find someone to just show you, just invite you in, even drop by the college, just ask if you can go up to PAL or go up to whatever is close to you and just see if you can just walk around. It really does help. Love the hangar environment. So the hangar environment is much different. It's not like a garage. It's not dirty. It's actually very clean for the most part. And it's way better than an office. My office that I'm currently sat in right now, there's a door right behind me that goes straight into the hangar that we have in the school. So it's really nice. So when you do AME training, so like I said, it's 2 years. We also do have structures, which is 1 year. You graduate, you do your apprenticeship, you get your license, and then you have so many other opportunities that you can do. So you can stay working on the floor and be a mechanic. You can do line stuff. You can do scheduled maintenance. So that is like stripping an airplane totally down and doing inspection work. You can do troubleshooting. You can do mods. You can go into planning. So you're planning different inspections. You're working with airlines, quality assurance. So you're coming behind people and making sure that they're doing their job correctly. Your management, tech support. There's so many different little branches everywhere that you have the opportunity to look at once you get the background education. So very challenging, very rewarding. Of course, you're in a very safety sensitive position. You're handling people's lives and people are traveling. If you're driving in your car and your engine light comes on, you pull over, right? If you're flying an airplane and your engine light comes on, you cannot pull over. So it's very much safety is priority and all about prevention of issues and prevention of anything breaking, more so than actually fixing what's broken. So in your car, you don't fix it until you absolutely have to because it's expensive. And like I said, if your brakes are a little bit wonky or your engine is a little bit noisy, you just kind of ignore it until you need to fix it. Airplanes, not so much, because we do not want you up in the sky. And then you're like, oh, whoops, what's that noise? So we'd much rather fix that before you get in the sky. So it's a lot of preventative maintenance, hence why it's a little bit more cleaner than working on a car. So definitely working with your hands. If you want an office job, there's total opportunities to be in that. Currently, I'm in more of an office job, so I still get to do the hands-on stuff. I get to show the students how to do it and what to do it. But I have 2 little boys, so my work-life balance is also a little bit easier with day shift. That is one thing. It is a 24-hour operation, so depending on where you work, depends on that. Some people love night shift. Some people love shift work. My boyfriend, he's nailed Monday to Friday, but it took him a really long time to adjust to that. He liked the shift work because equal time off is great for some people. Travel benefits are always great. So most companies you work with, you get very, very good travel benefits. So when you think of the major airlines, Air Canada, WestJet, Porter, all those flight passes, pension, which you're probably not thinking about right now, but you will want to think about it. Medical benefits, all that stuff comes with it. And even the little small companies, the little flight schools and stuff, you still get those type of benefits. Typically, you're still around the aircraft, you still get to fly, you still get to do lots of really cool things. And right now we're in really high demand. So obviously you guys remember COVID. Everybody points finger at COVID for everything. If you have a sniffle, you're like, oh, that's COVID. Or because groceries are high, oh, well, that's because of COVID. We are also very, very much in demand right now, and it truly is because of COVID. Because during COVID, everyone was too scared to fly. Everything was grounded. So people either retired early or they got new jobs because they couldn't go without pay. So those people that retired early or went in a new direction, now we're lost out of that company, and now we're back flying probably more than ever because everyone is playing catch up to the time that they missed. So that's cargo and passengers and business trips and family trips and all that stuff is now creeping back up. So all of our graduates have been very lucky and gotten jobs. Most of them have gotten jobs. Actually, probably the last 2 years, all of them have had jobs before they've left the building. Some of them stayed in Newfoundland. I worked at PAL. PAL's a pretty big hitter here. Some at Cougar. Where else? Air Jazz is a big one in Nova Scotia. 2 went with WestJet. 1 is up north with First Air. So there's so many opportunities. Helicopter World and Airplane World are also 2 very totally different things. So you kind of get the feel for it once you get working. Going up north is totally different from working in a warm hangar in a Halifax. So there's so many opportunities depending on what you want to do. Whoops. Sorry, my mouse is a little bit finicky. So to start the program, you have to finish high school. You have to have academic. So pretty much your normal math, sciences, that type of thing, to get into the aircraft maintenance program. In order to write your license, you have to be 21, but you're not coming to this program before you're 17, 18 years old, and then you have 2 years before you can even write your license. So typically you're 21 anyways. You can get maintenance or avionics, which is really nice. Okay, some people like one or the other, and then there's the S. So again, if there's any questions about that, you can totally ask at the end, or someone, if you want, you totally feel free to reach out to me as well. I don't know if you guys will be sharing our contact information. I'm also very easy to contact. I'm on the college website, and my last name starts with BA. So I'm one of the first people that you will see come up on the website. So how to get started, like I said, school, obviously we're not the only school in Canada, but we're a very good school in Canada. We're the only school in Newfoundland and Labrador that offers it, which is great. So there's not a whole lot of competition when it comes to applying for jobs on the island, which is also really nice. If you want to stay around the island, you have lots of opportunities to do so. The ICS course that's mentioned there, that is an online training. So that is like an online training course that you can do and also work at the same time. However, you don't get the same accreditation because your hands-on work is not the same as you're doing it in school. Summer apprentice jobs. So we have lots of students who complete their first year and then they go work for the summer. So we had 4 students at Cougar Helicopters this summer who are now back in their second year, 1 at PAL, 2 at EVIS, and I think there was 1 more. So they're always hiring summer students. There's usually at least half a dozen that'll spend their summer working and then they'll come back here. Apprenticeship and logbook. So you graduate with logbook, get it filled out. You kind of then go what route you want to do, maintenance structures or avionics. And then I have the Elevate in there as well. And last one, but it's kind of a quick one. So talk about safety, high pressure situations. That's obviously something that you would need to be aware of. Working in different environments, so outside, inside. Again, right now we can kind of pick where we want to go, which is really, really nice. So if you're not the outdoorsy type, there's lots of opportunities. And if you are that type of person, you can pretty much go wherever you want. Shift work, generally have to be close vicinity to an airport. We are definitely outnumbered. For graduating this year, I have roughly 30 students and 3 of them are girls. So that's a very small percentage. In the first year students, I believe out of about 30 of them, we have 2 females. So, and that's about average. About every 30 students, we have 2 to 3 that are females. There is some physical labor. However, you do you. If you can't do it, someone else is going to do it. Just like if they can't fit somewhere, they're going to come get you to do it. Or if you're more females tend to be more, they're better at soldering. Just like lots of people say they're better at welding because they're more intricate into detail, right? That's just something that's in our brains. That's just how it works. So if you can't do it, you figure out how to do it. There's lots of times where I have to use something for leverage because I don't have the strength behind me, right? And if I need help, then I need help. And they're definitely going to need help too at some point. So it goes both ways. And stereotypes, but I feel like you're going to get that anyways. And as people are, I don't know, our society is changing and everybody is becoming more accepting and things like that. I got to say, I've been very lucky and I haven't really had many of those stereotypes. I've heard stories, but I think in our generation right now that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which is really, really nice. And hopefully one day that it just won't be an issue. That's my hope. My hope is that when my two little boys are out working, that it won't be no different than what they're doing. So that's about all I have. Like I said, if there's any questions or anything like that, of course, we'll answer them after. And yeah, that's what I like my job. I've always been in aviation for as long as I remember. That I've been very lucky. I worked with PAL, I've worked with Cougar, and now I'm here. So I've been here since 2015. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Melissa. That was a wonderful kind of more in-depth look. So I love the way that we're building here with Stephanie giving us this kind of like broad look at transportation where aviation was just kind of like one little highlight, and now we see that one little highlight is actually all of these careers as well. So thank you for that. And we do have one more speaker before I hand it over to Samantha. I'll remind you, you can put questions in the chat or in the Q&A function. And if you are just joining, this is being recorded and will be available on the WRDC page. And also just going to point out that we have those links put in the chat. If you missed any of those links that came up, then hopefully they're all there for you. But with that, handing it over to Samantha, who is Chief Officer of the Atlantic Raven, so into the marine side of things.
Okay. Hi everyone. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen there. Let's get this. Okay. So my name is Samantha Strowbridge. I'm a chief officer with Atlantic Towing Limited, and I've been there since 2012. So I started on deck, or well, actually as a deck cadet, and worked my way right up through the ranks there. So just a little bit about me. I'm 33 years old, and I grew up in Grand Bank, and because of the rotational work, I can still live here. So I get to stay where I've always grew up, and I get to stay where my parents are, which is a big thing for me. I grew up loving the water, and since I was 12, I've always dreamed of being a captain. That was like the only thing that I think, aside from probably my preschool graduation, that's about the only thing I've ever said I wanted to do. So it's great to get to do that. And the big thing with working the rotation is growing up, I spent a lot of time on the water with my family, with my dad fishing. And now I still get to do that on my time off. So when I come home and it's lobster season, if I want to, I can go out with my dad every day he goes, which is great for me. I worked in transportation full time since 2012, but the first time I was ever offshore on a vessel was 2009. So that was part of my schooling. And I'm currently 8 months pregnant with my first child. So right now I don't go to sea, but that's only since I finished my last trip in April. And then just because the way Transport Canada works the medicals, I can't go to sea until after I have the baby. So my education is much the same as Melissa talked about, and even Stephanie with the apprentice programs. So after I finished high school, I went straight to the Marine Institute to start the nautical science program. So The nautical science program is 3 years of school time where you learn in the classroom and a year of sea time. So the way it's broken up generally is you do your first September to June in school, then you do a 60-day work term where you get as many days as you can because you just need 365 total in the end. Then you do another full year of school, so you go back September to June again, and then you have June until the next September, so about 14, 15 months to get the remainder of your 1 year sea time. So lots of people break that up in how they want to. Like usually I did 3-month trips and came home for a few weeks just to get the time in to give me the last summer off, basically. So then after that last summer, then you go back to school again from September until June, where you graduate, and then after you graduate, you're still required to do your Transport Canada COC, so your Certificate of Competency, where you write, typically now you write one exam, and then you do a oral examination after. So those take about 2 hours, where for the 2 hours, the examiner can just ask you pretty much anything that you've learned or about your experiences and things similar to that. So then, like the apprentice programs, how it works then is you go to work with your first COC. So I started with a watchkeeping mate in 2012. Then I had to do so much sea time. So it took me about 3 years to complete my next ticket or COC. So I gained my sea time, and as you progress through, there's still exams that you need to write. So, but the good news with it is that you can write the exams while you're gaining your sea time. So if you want, as soon as you have your sea time completed, you can just go ahead and write the exam. So that's what I did. So from watchkeeping mate to chief mate, there was about 7 to 8 written exams, which is the same as everyone's talked about. It was 70% pass. A couple courses that you had to go to school for, and then another oral exam with a Transport Canada examiner. And then after that, I took about another 3 years to gain some more sea time. So then the sea time that I gained then went towards, so I went to Chief Mate Unlimited. Then the next ticket I completed was my Master Mariner. So to complete the Master Mariner, I once again did more sea time and some more exams and another oral examination. So it's much the same as the apprentice, where you work and you go to school all in between, kind of like your blocks, just named a little differently. And then once I got my Master Mariner, I thought I was done with my education, but I changed my mind and I went back to complete my Bachelor of Maritime Studies with the Maritime Management. So that I did it all online. So it took me about 3 years. I just did 1 to 2 courses a semester. It's through MON. So I did a lot of it during COVID as I worked longer shifts and had a lot longer time home. So that's what I did. We worked 6-week shifts, so I could get a nice bit of the semester spent home instead of doing it at sea, which was nice. So I finished that in 2022, and I've said I'm done, but maybe I'll do my master's in maritime studies. Who knows yet? That changes pretty much every day here now. But the education for a seafarer, although these are like the, say, the bigger courses, the bigger like university and college courses that you do, every year there's usually one or two courses to do. Right now I'm completing courses to renew my dynamic positioning, which is used to keep the vessel in position. The drill rigs use it. It's very common, and just pretty much all your certificates expire every 5 years, and some you can just renew with sea time and testimonials, but others you do need to go back and just do a refresher course. So every year we have a couple of those to do for sure. So my career progression, in 2019, that was the first time I went offshore on a offshore supply vessel, and that was with Maersk Supply Services. I did that my first summer. I spent probably about 45 days there. It was great, and I really enjoyed my time there. It was nice because I'll be honest, I was really shy before I started getting deeper into this industry. So I was a little afraid, but luckily enough, there was a couple people from home that I kind of knew, but they more so knew my dad. So it worked out even better because they kind of looked out for me and showed me what to do. So that was great. Then after that, I went back to school for my next year. And then from 2010 to 2011, I did the long sea phase, we call it. So the remainder of the 365 days. I did that with Atlantic Towing Limited, and I actually got to spend all of my sea phase in on the Atlantic Kingfisher. So it was nice. It was it kind of became or not kind of, I guess it did become my home away from home. I got to spend 10 months out of 12 there, so it really did feel like home. And then once I graduated in 2012, I actually had a offer from Atlantic Towing to be a part of their cadet conversion program. So they offered me a job before I finished my last year of school, and I began there right away. So once I began there in 2012, I still did a little bit of time on deck. So my first year or 6 months to a year, I was going between deckhand and third officer, just moving up and down as the opportunity presented itself for me to move into the third officer role. Then from 2013 to 2015, I worked as the third officer. And during this time, I worked on a couple of different vessels, but all with ATL. And then this actually lines up with my COCs that I had talked about. So in 2015, when I completed my Chief Mate Unlimited ticket, I actually got a promotion right away to second officer. So the second officer then is in charge of safety, which was nice, and I really enjoyed that role as well. So I spent pretty much 3 years as a second officer. And of course, with each role, there's different things to learn to prepare you for your next role. And then in 2018, I got promoted to chief officer with Atlantic Towing. So once I got promoted to chief officer, I had my Master Mariner ticket then. So the Master Mariner is a captain's ticket. So I stayed in that role until actually May of 2023. So in May of 2023, I got the opportunity to move up as captain for a couple trips just in a temporary role. So that's how these promotions generally work. You get a chance to fill in until a full-time position comes available. So I was really thankful and grateful for that. I got to move up on the Atlantic Raven, which is a vessel that since 2014 I've spent all but maybe a year on. So is a vessel that I know really well, and I was glad to move up as temporary master there. And since then, I switched vessels and I went to the North Sea actually to work on the Atlantic Kestrel as chief officer. And now currently since April, I've been working remotely, writing standard operating procedures and rolling those out with the company. So that's been great. It still keeps me in on all the things for that the vessels do, and just helps me keep active with everything that's going on. So the typical day as a chief officer, generally you do 28 to 42 days off and on rotation. So most times it is 28 days. Just depends. Really, like during COVID and that we did switch to 6 weeks just because I was working on the west coast of Canada then. So with the isolation requirements and everything, it was just better to do 6 weeks instead of 4. And sometimes we work 35 days too, so 5 weeks. Then on board the vessel, normally the chief officer works 4 hours on and then 8 hours off for their watch schedule. So normally my watch would be 4 in the morning till 8 in the morning, and then 4 in the afternoon until 8 at night. And then your 8 hours off, that gives you the time to complete any paperwork or orders, anything that you need to catch up on. Planned maintenance, like with the aircrafts, planned maintenance is a big thing. So as the chief officer, you're second in command and you're in charge of the deck department. So my job includes making sure that the deck department does the planned maintenance on time and everything like that. So then in your 8 hours off, you had the time to go to the gym, call home, eat, sleep, of course. Sometimes we're in a lot of different areas. You can get time to go and explore. Travel is definitely a big thing with working as a mariner. You can go pretty much anywhere. Once you complete your tickets and you have unlimited tickets, those are good for anywhere in the world. They're STCW tickets, so you can go wherever you want. And of course on different vessels. And the chief officer is also in charge of loading and discharging cargo and doing your stability. So that's a big thing. There is a lot of math and calculations to do with that, but I really enjoyed math and that more so than English and other courses like that. So that was great for me. So areas I've sailed in. So throughout my career now, I've sailed on the east coast of Canada. So up until about 2018, most of my work was here on the east coast of Canada. Then I got to do a trip in northern Canada. So we went up to Nunavut it was actually this time of year. So we went when it was a little bit cold and got to see lots of ice and all that sort of thing. So that was a pretty cool trip. And then once we finished our trip in northern Canada, the Atlantic Raven actually moved to the west coast of Canada. So I've from late in 2018 until 2023, I spent most of my time on the west coast of Canada working. So that was nice. I'd spend a month here on the east coast and then fly to the west coast and get to spend a month there. I've also did a couple trips down the eastern seaboard, so down to Charleston and different places in the US. And lately, well, before my pregnancy, I was in the North Sea, so Scotland, Norway, different places like that over there, which was also really nice. My favorite part of the job would definitely be seeing the new areas. When you're on the vessel, oftentimes you're asked to go to different little places, which is always nice. I've been down through many small channels in British Columbia where it's just all mountains and it's just beautiful scenery, and it's nice to be able to do that, as well as going to other areas of the world. It's definitely fun. The travel is great. Lots of times you do get time off, so on that time that you're off shift, generally most companies have a time limit of, like, you need to be within a half hour or hour of the vessel. So as long as you're within that distance to get back, you can go and do a little bit of exploring, which is nice. By far my favorite part is maneuvering the vessel. I don't think that ever really gets old. It was something that I always look forward to, was actually driving the vessel and docking the vessel, and yeah, I don't think that ever wears off. Once you get to do what you want to do it all the time. And the rotation schedule. So I really enjoyed the 28 days off and on. I like the off time. Yes, you go away for 28 days at a time, but when you're home, like, you get the opportunity to do what you want. So for a while, on my 28 days off, like, I could go on vacations for a couple weeks at a time if I wanted to, and you could do that really 6 times a year if you wanted to. So that was great, and get to visit like family and that. My sister was in Goose Bay for a while, so it was nice to see her. Any advice for women wishing to join the transportation industry? Just go for it, for sure. It's a very rewarding industry. There's lots of benefits, lots of travel. You can, there's all different industries. There's all different jobs. Like, I worked up through the ranks on the officer side, but there's also the engineering side. I have many friends that are engineers. Some of them who are women, they really enjoy it too. They like to be working with their hands and getting to work on these big diesel engines, so they enjoy that. And then it's always changing, this industry. Like, first when I started, even as early as 2009, 2010, lots of times I was the only woman on the vessel. But now lately, I believe the most I've sailed with lately is probably 4 women out of a crew of 18 to 20, which is a lot, as most times I sailed as the only one of 14. So to get to see 4 out of 20 was definitely nice. And the other thing is that, as Melissa said, like, everyone is getting more accepting, and it's not like like I've heard lots of the stereotypes and like the stories that people say, but things are really changing, and that's not something that you hear as often anymore. It's kind of gone away as women start to progress through the industry. So
That's a great slide actually to jump into our Q&A, because our first question was, what advice would each of the three speakers have for women looking to pursue a career in this sector? So sorry to interrupt you, but I do want to just leave the last 15 minutes for a Q&A and let our audience ask all three of you questions, if you don't mind. And
oh, that was my last slide, so that's perfect.
Oh, perfect, perfect. And yeah, you had quite the career progression and continuous learning throughout. And I did also want to congratulate you. I know that last year you received the Marine Industry Award, Turning the Tide's Next Wave of Leadership. And I think that's clear when we watch or listen to you rather talk about how you've really continuously upgrade it yourself along the way, and you've only been in the industry, I think you said 12 years, so
Yeah.
you earned that award.
Thanks.
But I'll throw that question now to if you could stop sharing. Yeah, perfect. To Melissa or Stephanie, it's one piece of advice you would give to someone looking to pursue a career in transportation. Who would like to jump in? Melissa?
I guess just don't be scared. Don't find it intimidating. Gather as much information as you can. If you know someone's aunt, uncle, cousin, second boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, doesn't matter. Ask them what you want to know. Ask the hard truths. Ask the questions. Ask not just where to go to school, but okay, so when I'm done, what jobs are there? Because I find that's a hard thing to really, or get like a Marine Institute book, get a College of North Atlantic book and go through the programs that are offered, see what kind of jumps out. But definitely just don't be scared. Don't be scared of the unknown, which is really hard sometimes. But the best way is just to get all the information you can and then go from there.
Stephanie, anything to add?
Yeah, I would also say don't do it alone. There are organizations that are there specifically to help you learn more about these careers and to get connected with people, and who have mentorship programs that are both formal and informal. So there are, a number of women who are out there to say, this has been my experience. This is what you can likely or will likely experience. Here are the paths that I took. Just so that you can hear from people who are doing it and who know what it feels like and who can tell you, here are some good examples of directions you should go in. And then also to get you connected with employers. So in Newfoundland, you've got the Women's Resource Development Corporation. You also have the Office to Advance Women Apprentices. So there's a couple different organizations that are there specifically to help you. So don't do it alone is really my big message. Get your friends. There's plenty of them there to help you.
That's perfect. And you provided quite a few links that we did put into the chat. And if you are just joining us, all of this is recorded and will be on the WRDC YouTube. But that's some fantastic advice. Is there anything you would add for someone who's kind of uncertain about changing careers? Maybe they're here watching with us and they're thinking, do I really give up what I have to get into transportation?
I can answer that. So I was an employment counselor for 16 years, well, in employment services for 16 years before I started at CAF. And what I would say, and I saw people transition careers all the time, is doing your research, first of all, to see, can I financially kind of go through the transition of changing careers? Because usually there is a little bit less income when you're moving from a career you've been in for a long time into a new one. But if you look at the trades specifically, they tend to be fairly high income for the most part compared to a lot of other careers that people are in. So there's a good opportunity to gain that back. But I always tell people, you're at your job more than you're awake at home. So I think it's really important to enjoy what you're doing, or to at least feel good about what you're doing, or feel like you're contributing. And so if you are looking at, I want to make a change because I want it to be awesome, please do, but use the resources that are available to you to make that transition as positive as it can be, and to have as little financial impact during that time as it can. Because there are some opportunities to make a little bit more while you're learning, and you just want to know about that. And you want to know about the financial incentives that are available, grants that are available for tools and for tuition and all those sorts of things. So again, just make sure that you're getting that information from people who kind of know what they're doing and can help you make that move.
I love that kind of grounded approach. It's all good and well to say you are not a tree, you can change careers, but yeah, we do have things that ground us, and finances is a big one, but earn while you learn is a catchy little phrase for any of the skill trades. Anything to add before I move on to the next question from the other two speakers? We're okay. So just looking at emerging trends or technologies in the sector as a whole, or maybe in marine or in avionics, do you kind of see any future impact on job opportunities or skill requirements in the near future? Will it be something that, the CNA program will have to kind of upgrade their courses, or Samantha, you're so well educated, but are you going to be having to do one more certificate in the near future for new technologies that are coming?
So for in the marine industry, you definitely continue with the new technologies. Actually, the year that I graduated was the first year that electronic charts course was required. So we had to do an extra course then, and as things progress, like that always changes. Yeah, different vessels you need different training for too. So as the technology changes, like we went from mini diesel to diesel electric, to now even ships with battery power on them. So as the technology changes, so does your requirements. But the good news is that through the continuous learning, and you do more courses, I don't see it being reducing the number of people or opportunities or anything like that. Or if it is, I think we're a long ways away from that. Just because right now, like especially in the marine industry, your hours of work and rest is a thing as well, right? So each person can only work a certain number of hours and has to have their rest to be able to do their job safely. So like the safe manning, and I don't think that'll change for a while. So wherever there's that, there's definitely a lot of career opportunities, and that's the same for every job on the vessel. So right then, I think Stephanie mentioned the cooks. So like the cooks as well, they work their 12-hour days. They don't work any more than that, just because even though they're not driving the vessel, they're handling knives, using fryers, different things like that. So there's always the dangers. So yeah, I can't see a reduction in numbers there soon.
And Melissa, in aviation, what kind of changes do you see to the whole field?
So pretty similar due to safety. Obviously hands-on is better than any type of virtual reality or type of online learning. So for numbers and stuff, and also like technology is changing, an airplane is full of computers, just like our cars. So all those old type of instruments are now becoming more of like they call it your glass screen. So just like an iPad, we're using iPads for maps and for their planning and routes and updates and all the systems have sensors on them. So we know before an engine breaks that it's going to break because there's a sensor that checks the vibration, that checks the temperature, that checks how much oil it's burning. So with that comes more jobs in the technology side of it. And I don't know if any of you heard the term fly-by-wire, but you're more into those type of sensors and wires and avionics, like an e-license is actually in demand a little bit more. And I'd say as the years go by, that'll be in demand a little bit more than an M, but I can't see it affecting, say, manpower anytime soon. I don't think so.
Good to know. We still have that demand in the sector. We're not here talking for no reason.
Yeah.
We're also seeing a lot of advancements in green technology as well. So as we start to see different, like ground transportation, especially with electronic vehicles, we're seeing a lot of new growth in that area too. So the training is starting to adapt to the new technology as well. So you're probably going to see a little bit more opportunity in that area as the green technology starts to become more prevalent.
Yeah, great point. And one of my favorite stories to repeat is from interviewing a role model about being a mechanic in a electric vehicle garage. And you picture a mechanic, you picture a garage, and it's not the same. If you walk into a Tesla garage, it's all about coding now. They're fixing your vehicle over the phone the same way that they would fix your computer, because that's what it is. So we've got to kind of get out of our own heads about what we think the sector is and get out and talk to role models such as yourselves and the organizations such as CAF and WRDC and all of those, to just really figure out what the industry is about now, and understand that in 5 years' time it's also going to look different again. On kind of that note too, I also had the privilege of interviewing Melissa previous to today, a couple of years ago. And I just wanted to pull out something that you said then about whether you would, how do I phrase this? If the individuals watching us today, the women, have never been, growing up playing with motors, should they be registering in your program, or what kind of difficulties do you see?
What do you mean? Like if they didn't grow up around it?
Yeah, if they didn't grow up around it, if grandpa didn't teach them how to fix a car.
Yeah, then everybody starts at the same position. So everybody, once you come to school, we treat you as you know nothing. So boy, girl, doesn't matter. If you're 50, if you're 17, straight out of high school, we treat you all equally, lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. Make sure that you know the basics before you get into everything. Because even if you did grow up working on your skidoo or your bike, or you helped your dad change your oil one time, or it's very, very different. And the safety procedures that we follow are very different. We use a lot of manuals. We use a lot of specialty tools, a lot of stuff that regardless if you grew up picking around in the garage, you probably didn't grow up around these types of things. So we want to treat everybody from very basic and starting up. We do have a lot of international students as well. So obviously we take that into consideration. Even technical terms, their technical terms are different than our technical terms. So we kind of got to start from the very basics and then work our way up. And so everybody, hopefully you kind of grow at the same, and the ones who kind of think they may know more, they probably don't know more. And then you go back and forth on different things, and at some point you all level out and you all help each other, which is wonderful. It's a lot of practical projects in groups, and then you do have individual as well. So you kind of get to see what you're capable of, and then the teamwork side of it too, which is great. So you meet people, and That's, I mean, kind of like the intimidation thing. So it is scary. Starting a new job is scary, even if it's at Shoppers Drug Mart or McDonald's, like that, all that's scary, but you'll be okay. And we do really treat you like you know nothing. So that's good.
Thank you. Yes, it's
Awesome.
just the intimidation factor of some have grown up around these things and some haven't, but you're there to teach them from the beginning. And I've just realized we're out of time, so I'm going to throw up a survey there now. We just want to make sure that we hear about everyone's experiences and thank our speakers very much for their time. Let me just share my screen again. Here we are. So your feedback is extremely valuable and we would love you to help us improve future events. Your participation is always voluntary and your responses remain anonymous, meaning the responses are reported in a combined way, reflecting the answers of all respondents. If you don't have time to complete the survey now, it's okay. You'll receive an email from us, WRDC, specifically our research team, research@wrdc.ca, with a survey link. And you can scan the QR code there, and it should be in our chat. There we go. It is in our chat. Wonderful. Oh, and now I'm scrolling everywhere. Okay. Well, it is in the chat, and I'll leave it there with a huge thank you to Samantha, Melissa, and Stephanie for joining us today. If you didn't catch it all, check it out on the WRDC YouTube page, and I hope you join us again for the next Career Connections event. Have a wonderful rest of day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. See you.